Welcome, low ego action heroes and phoenixes. I'm Debbie Levitt from Delta CX. Welcome to episode 273 about your personal brand. As so many of us are trying to apply to jobs and find jobs right now, my community has reported an increase in people who are trying to make some money, let's just say, around trying to give you some sort of coaching or course claiming that if you improve your personal brand or create one, you are going to stand out and you are more likely to get that job. So, since that sounded a little bit suspicious and predatory to me, I wrote an article about it, and I am here to read that article and take your questions, comments, disagreements, etc. Before I jump in, don't forget that we have a free Discord community. You can find it at dcx.to/Discord. We've got almost 600 people now, and it's pretty active. We cover both life stuff and work stuff. So you can come there and talk about staying in tech, leaving tech, looking for a job, getting a job, and all the personal feelings inside that and outside of that. And lots of other links at dcx.to. So let's take a look at my article and let's see what thoughts or questions any of you have about personal brands. So you can find this article on Medium. Usually I just search for the title with my last name, Levitt, and the word Medium, and it comes right up. This article, hi Ana Lucia. This article is from mid-June 2025, and it's called Can a Personal Brand Help You Stand Out as a Job Candidate? I'm hearing more and more stories from people in my community that they are being contacted by people calling themselves coaches or career coaches who claim that they can help them with their job search. They're typically offering a paid service, sometimes $1,000 or sometimes thousands of dollars. The sales pitch is typically that you need to work on your personal brand in order to get your next job. If this is a scam, then the fake coach will collect money and deliver little or nothing. But for the purposes of our article today, let's imagine that this isn't a scam and that this is a real service being offered by a real person. Could your personal brand be the reason you're having trouble finding a job? Many of the people I follow on LinkedIn who are commenting on the job market typically notice that most jobs right now are going to people with a senior level of experience, no matter what the level of the open jobs title says, and typically to ex-FANG employees: Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, and Apple. So if you previously worked at Meta, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, or Google, you'll probably rise to the top of the applicant list because of how much people assume that anybody who worked at those companies must be great. Or perhaps it's how much people at those companies will put up with bullshit or unethical things. It's hard for me to know anymore, but those people appear to rise to the top of the list whether or not they have a personal brand. This candidate looks amazing, but I really don't see a strong personal brand here, so I'll reject them. Said no one ever. What's a personal brand? If I name a brand, there are things you associate with that brand based on that company's advertising, the messages they put out, their political choices, controversies, and your experiences with that company. So if I say FedEx or Target or Nike, you'll have a perception of what each brand is about and what they stand for or against. There are endless books about how companies can build their brand, but also how they hurt or destroy it. Branding is a huge thing for every company on the planet. Some people are the brand. Sports celebrities have a brand associated with their name. If they get famous enough, we'll have some sort of public sense of who they are and maybe what they stand for or against. This can sometimes help them win or lose sponsorship deals or other partnerships. Similarly, consider famous speakers and authors. The positive or negative association you have when you hear their name reminds you that they have a brand. What do you immediately think of if I say Jared Spool, Mike Montero, Tony Robbins, Brene Brown? The positive or negative or neutral thoughts you have when you hear those names are part of their personal brands. Can you build a personal brand quickly and for a few $1,000s? Probably not. But the real question is, do you need to? What would that personal brand do or mean to you? What would be different about your work or your life if you had a strong or well-known personal brand? It's okay if you feel like you don't know the answer to those questions. There may not be a great answer. Even the person who tries to sell you on coaching or personal brand building might not have an answer either. They might just give you broad general sales pitches like having a personal brand will make you stand out as a candidate. That sounds like it makes sense, but it might not be true. Could I rise to the top of the applicant list because of my personal brand? That depends on whether or not the AI and ATS system that many companies are using that many companies are using first check the web for whether or not I have a strong personal brand or public reputation. I might be rejected by an AI or a human who doesn't care about personal brands before getting an interview. I might be rejected if someone is against what my personal brand is for. I might be rejected for even having a strong personal brand. Does a personal brand help me or hurt me? I believe that my personal brand helps me when I apply to speak at a conference and when people are interested in having me do corporate or team training or coaching. The personal brand helps because I'm a public figure with a reputation. I'm being considered for or invited to public or corporate work, and my reputation matters. I would say that about half of the time I go into a job interview, the person interviewing me says, I already know who you are. I've read some of your articles, or I've read one of your books, or I've seen some of your videos. That's my personal brand in action. I have a brand, and some people have become familiar with it even before interacting with me personally. But if we're talking about a full-time or contract job, what does my reputation or public persona matter? I'm coming into your company to be a lead UX researcher. Does it matter if I've written books or spoken at conferences? An example of where it's worked for me is my current contract job. As of writing this last month, a higher level leader said to me the other day that they know what my background is, and that's part of the reason I'm there. Sure, I'm there as a lead UX researcher, but they're hoping that I'm going to get some other things done as well. This is an example of where my personal brand worked for me. But I've also had to field many questions during job interviews, asking things like, why do you need this job? You're Debbie Levitt. You're probably making a lot of money with your videos and speaking. No, I do not. You probably won't have time or energy to do our job since you put so much of your energy into writing and videos. No, I have plenty of time and energy for both. It's one of the many advantages to having no children or parents. You won't make our company a priority since you're so busy with other things. I will absolutely make your company a priority. I wouldn't apply if I couldn't. I can't believe Debbie Levitt would come and work for us. Why? I've built a career by taking regular jobs and doing real work. See my resume or LinkedIn profile. Lots of real jobs. Of course, I will come and work for you. And I find that in general, they don't believe my answers. I'm sometimes rejected because of assumptions made about my time or energy, which is a shame. These are examples of my personal brand hurting me because of the assumptions people make. If you've done a good job with your personal branding, people know who you are and what you stand for or against. Think about some of the better known UX professionals who you might follow or look up to. You have a sense of what they're for or against. Maybe they're for design thinking or UX democratization. Maybe they're against agile or think AI is just a shitty chatbot. There are people you have grown to trust and some that you have grown to distrust. Some have been exposed as racist, abusive, or unethical, and now that's part of their personal brand. That means that any company thinking of hiring them also knows these stances. A company that is looking for a UX leader to shut up and tap dance for a VP of product is unlikely to interview me or any UXer whose personal brand is about UX empowerment and customer centricity. If a company wants designers to just shut up and Figma what they've been told to design, they are unlikely to hire me or anybody whose personal brand is about the craft of UX design, UX autonomy, or truly creating a product trio where UX has an equal voice. I've noticed that the UX practitioners with personal brands who seem to have less or no trouble getting hired are usually, but not always, the people who give messages that maintain the status quo and disempower UX. That Google design leader who said there's nothing special about design and anybody can do it. That famous UX research leader who pushed the company to democratize research. These people are more likely to get the job because they're saying what companies already want to hear. Many companies want to hear that UX is nearly nothing, easy to learn, easy to do, and can be done by anybody, even without training or oversight. If that's the personal brand you want to present, it can help you get a job at a company that wants those qualities in a leader or worker. You'd be able to show your personal brand, your writing, and your speaking to back up your positions. In that sense, I believe that my personal brand works against me probably as often as it works for me. If companies or hiring managers are familiar with me and they really just want the UX leader who will change nothing, play along, tap dance, and not make waves, do you think they're going to consider me for that job? Absolutely not. I'll be ghosted, I'll be rejected, and I'm certainly not getting an interview. If the key is personal brand, why isn't my email ringing off the hook? Having a personal brand is not the key to standing out as an applicant or getting the job. I have over 43,000 followers on LinkedIn. I have over 1,000 videos on YouTube. I've spoken at many conferences around the world, and I've published 4 books related to CX, UX product strategy, and business. I've written hundreds of articles, created courses on topics in my area of expertise, and I've been interviewed on many product, agile, and UX podcasts. I started building that brand more heavily in 2008 and 2009 when I traveled the world speaking at conferences. I mostly paid for this out of my own pocket, depleting my savings to speak at every conference that would have me so that I could be more known. Many conferences don't pay much, and some don't pay anything, even your hotel room. I self published my first 2 UX related books in 2019. I started my first YouTube channel in 2019. I hope that if people have heard of me, what they will know will match the personal brand I've tried to consistently put out there. Honesty, knowledge, critical thinking, not jumping on trends or bandwagons, customer centricity, and achieving business goals through meeting or exceeding users' needs and expectations. I stand for empowerment, autonomy, accessibility, diversity, and truly caring for others. I come from the work. I did the work, and I do the work. I'm not someone who hasn't had a job in my area of expertise for years, or my best known consulting project was in the 1990s. I care about introspection and self improvement. I want to be a catalyst for others, and I always find new ways to help and support people for free or low prices. My personal brand wasn't built quickly or for hundreds of dollars. Whatever someone is offering you is probably partially or wholly dishonest or scammy. You can't truly build a real personal brand quickly or relatively inexpensively. Do you need a personal brand? You tell me. You read this. You listened to me read this to you. You understand what's really going on in job hunting, processing job applications, and the types of people companies might prefer. There are times where they want the strong, known person with established techniques and stances. There are times they absolutely don't want that person. Or they just might want the person with the fanciest name on their resume showing recent work and successes, which is worse news for the personal brandies who have barely done any UX work in the last 5 or so years. Some have barely done any work in 10 or more years. Companies now want the people who did it recently and successfully. Personal branding might not matter and can work against you. Don't pay someone who claims they will build or help you build a personal brand. Mine took years, a lot of content, and a lot of money. It also required consistency. If I significantly changed any of my stances along the way, I could have lost people who might have decided that I'm wishy washy or I just jump on the trend of the moment. It's not something that is easily built with a so called coach or consultant. But most importantly, ask yourself why. If you have a good website, good portfolio, good resume or CV, and good LinkedIn profile, do you really need a personal brand? My personal brand is intertwined with the brand for my company, Delta CX. Whether you know the company or me, the message and tone are the same. And that is today's article on personal brand. I'll hang around a few more minutes to see if anybody has comments, questions, disagreements, thoughts, stories. Put them in the chat. They'll come up on the screen. Unfortunately, I don't know if you're typing or not, so I'll just give everybody a few minutes and see if people have some comments and see what people think about personal brand. And I also wonder if if any of you have been contacted or pitched or gotten the sales rep from someone who's trying to sell you on you need to build a personal brand. So I don't know if anybody is writing anything. That is the weird thing about live streaming. I don't know if you're typing. Always good to set off an emoji first so I know you're typing something. Here's Ana Lucia saying, I went to a few of these personal brand events and they're also empty. Yeah, Ana Lucia, can you tell us some of the advice that they gave? What were some of the key takeaways? Were there any actionable pieces of advice where you were like, oh, yeah, I guess I could go and try that or do that? LinkedIn user says, in my opinion, your personal brand is definitely making things actionable, helpful, and useful. I think of every problem from this angle first, and I will always credit that to you, Debbie. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you, nice LinkedIn person. I will have to look up who said that. Is that Mohana? Thank you. Very kind. Oh, Anita. Oh, gosh, it's Anita. Oh, thank you. So good to see you. Sorry you're coming up in my aggregated chat system as LinkedIn user. But yes, thank you. Anita remembers one of our catchphrases here meaningful, actionable, helpful. I don't mind if you mildly rewrite it. I also think actionable, helpful, and useful absolutely works. Ana Lucia says, honestly, I couldn't find any actionable advice. It was just a bunch of buzzwords together, and I have no idea what they were trying to teach. Yes, Anita, the low ego action hero for sure. Yeah, so again, you are welcome to go to personal branding events, especially if they are free. You know, if the only thing you lose is your time, then you can certainly give it a try. But when these things start costing money for programs, coaching, courses, I get very nervous. I'm very worried about whether or not those things are going to pay off. I'm worried about what they cost. And I'm worried that a lot of us don't have spare money for that. No, meaningful is and useful are really close, and I think that's great. You are absolutely welcome to revise it and make it whatever you can remember and work with. So, yeah, so I can only tell you buyer beware. Do more research on people. Remember that someone who had a hot course a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whether they're teaching the same thing or something different now, it might not be good stuff. It might not still work. I have definitely seen people who sell stuff now that might have been good advice 2, 3 years ago, but the advice hasn't been updated and doesn't work now. I remember I paid for a course years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, someone who came highly recommended to me by someone I deeply trust, who I won't name because I do trust them. And I paid for their course. I think it was supposed to be about like how your LinkedIn is going to get more noticed and you're going to tap into the hidden job market. Everybody's probably seen some of these. And I think the course was a few $100s. And I thought, okay, I only have to work for a few days for that to pay off. And this person's advice on LinkedIn and what to put in your LinkedIn profile and how the LinkedIn algorithm works was outdated. I had been studying that at the time. I'd been following a number of LinkedIn experts. Uh, I was even getting some training from LinkedIn at the time, and their information was incorrect. And I was horrified. I immediately asked for a refund, and they did give it to me, but that was bad. Ana Lucia says, I went to one a couple of months ago that wasn't so bad, though, but the person refused to call it personal brand. He was saying something along the lines of being true to ourselves. Uh-oh, I've got an article on that. Did we ever do that as a live stream about how your job, your workplace doesn't want your true self? Oh my gosh, let me write that down. Did we forget to do that as a live show? I'll have to check. Does anyone remember? I will look. Ana Lucia continues by saying this person was talking about finding who we are, how we want others to see us, how we want to present ourselves to the world, and how to have a more coherent professional image. It was a lot more helpful, but as I said, he didn't want to call it personal brand. Yeah, and I do sometimes worry about those because I worry if it tries to make everybody more homogenous, because I think in some senses, who we are and a professional image aren't always the same thing. Sometimes we have to choose one. Our professional image might not be who we truly are, or how we present ourselves to the world might be different when that world is our friends than when that world is our coworkers or the executives at our company. So I would just say if anybody is going to an event like that or reading a book about it, just remember that we often show different versions of ourselves to different groups of people and to different in different situations. Some people are against that and they say never do that. Always show the same version of yourself everywhere. And I generally feel that way. I think if you met me in real life, you'd feel like, oh, that's the same Deb that I saw on YouTube. But there are certainly times at jobs where I'm going to have to play a part a little bit and I'm going to have to not say what I'm thinking. Whereas I'm usually a say what I think person, but there are times at work where I shouldn't do that, and I'm going to have to pick and choose. And so that's why I wrote that other article about does the workplace actually want your authentic self? And now I have to go check if we did that as a show, and if not, we'll schedule that. Ana Lucia says, he was fine actually. He never tried to push us towards a path. We did a lot of exercises to reach conclusions and it was nice. Cool. Good to hear about going to an event, paid or unpaid, that had good, helpful information from whoever it might have been, even if it's someone I don't like. Ana Lucia also says the idea to have a more coherent image overall because he noticed during his professional experience that people can be all over the place and try to claim they do everything while they don't. Ah, okay, that's a little bit different than professional image. That sounds like claims around what you say you can do or are good at. That is definitely an interesting thought there. So, yeah. Any other thoughts, questions, challenges, disagreements, stories? Happy to hang out a little bit more and see if anybody has questions. While I wait to see if people have questions, remember that tomorrow is Wednesday, and every Wednesday, as much as possible, I try to do a live stream where I take your questions live. That means mentoring, advising, coaching, help, whatever, opinions, totally free. And you can find, if you want to ask your question early, just go to dcx.to. That's our page with all of our links to everything else, so you can always find everything there. And if you want to ask your question early, you can send it in early and it will be one of the first to be answered. That's our Wednesday show. And I've been doing them at, I think, 7 p.m. Italy time. So if you are not in Italy, please check time zones for what time that will be. And we're not close to daylight savings time, so I don't have to worry yet. Today's show ended up getting rescheduled last minute. Sorry about that, but my current contract job scheduled something in where we had this. So that's the story. So Thank you for those who attended live and those who are watching it later on the YouTube or the LinkedIn. Won't you also follow us on Twitch? I think that is a much better place for videos. They're not archived there, but at least the comments are nearly instantaneous, and I think that's a super upgrade. So thanks to everybody. Let's start. Ana Lucia says, for example, you're a UX researcher. Can you pitch yourself easily? Do you know how to do that? And how did layoffs and unemployment affect you? Did your own self-image get affected? How do you find yourself? Yeah, good questions. And if there's someone out there who can help you answer them, also good. So I'm going to start our wrap-up music. Thanks again to people who joined live or watching later. Give it a thumbs up and a comment to help us in the algorithms. And I hope to see everybody tomorrow for Ask Me Anything. Bye!